Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be going over Star Trek Discovery's latest episode, which is number 9. Now, you start out the episode with an absolutely beautiful shot of the Discovery. It looks like it's hiding somewhat. It's, powered down to some degree, and there's a shuttlecraft approaching, and it's, like I said, it was a really beautiful shot, and the CGI this season has just been amazing. Every shot just kind of looks like a work of art. I'm so impressed with it. The person in the shuttlecraft appears to be Admiral Cornwall, and she's kind of there very secluded. She thinks no one's tracked her, and she's kind of there to talk to them about Spock. They trust her, and therefore she's came there to explain what's going on. Cornwall is there to talk to Spock, and she ends up giving him kind of a high-tech lie detector test, and she's kind of asking him questions about what's his purpose there, why did he leave the mental institution, did he kill them? Of course he says no, and it looks like he is not being deceptive at all, according to the lie detector. Then you also have Burnham, and she's kind of pleading with Pike. She doesn't think that Tyler was the one that sabotaged the ship. She doesn't think he would do it. She kind of asks to be able to see him, and Pike tells her no, not right now. She should be focused on Spock. She shows up and tells Cornwall she truly believes that Spock is innocent, and there's a little line said something about, well, he's your brother, and Spock is very cold and says not by blood. So there is still that big divide between these two. Cornwall tells Pike that she's absolutely certain that Spock was telling the truth, but at the same time, she still has this video where it shows Spock killing the doctors. And Pike says, this must be doctored. She says, there's no way, we've verified it. It can't, it is absolute certainty. And then she also tells them that Section 31, the admirals in charge of Section 31 have stopped responding to her for about 2 weeks now. And she's basically been locked out of all of the files, every bit of access she has to Section 31. She mentions how the head of the Section 31, which is Admiral Patar, is a logic extremist, and that she is really wanting Starfleet to pretty much put everything they've got into something called Control, which is their master system. And basically it's like artificial intelligence to some degree, although it remains to be seen just how forward it is. And she realizes that they've kind of got to go after Admiral Patar, which is she's at the Section 31 home base, which is where Control is housed. So that's pretty much their mission that she has got the Discovery crew to kind of go in for. They go onto the bridge, and Tilly is telling Cornwall that all of the data that was supposedly being leaked out from Tyler was sent to these coordinates that is basically nothing. Of course, when she says it, Cornwall says, no, there is something there, it's just hidden. That is Section 31's base. So it looks like as if Tyler has been giving all this information, which they still think it was Tyler. They have no clue that it was actually Airiam. So after that, they decide to head to Section 31's home base, and it was a really cool looking shot, I thought, of the ship going into warp. Also of note, when I was watching the credits, I noticed that this episode was directed by Jonathan Frakes, who most everybody in the Star Trek fandom knows was Commander Riker in Star Trek The Next Generation. He's actually done a lot of directing, especially for Star Trek, but I always think he's really good at what he does. Tilly shows up at Airiam's her room, and you start to find out a little bit more about Airiam, and I thought this episode did a really fantastic job about basically making you care for a character that you really didn't have a whole lot of prior knowledge to. So it appears that Airiam at once was completely human, and something happened. Their shuttle went down. Her and her fiance, boyfriend, husband, whoever he was to her, something went wrong, and the only way she could be saved was to basically provide, kind of merge her with this artificial intelligence. She's basically, robotic in nature. She's not an android, as I actually thought, but she's some sort of hybrid. And she basically can go in there, and every week she has to dump so many of her memories. I guess the hard drive is not big enough or something. You'd think they would have got around this at some point, but, but she pretty much has to delete her memories every week. The ones that she wants to keep, she does keep. The ones that are relevant, but everything else, I guess, gets uploaded somewhere. So that was a really interesting concept there. But Tilly needs help with decrypting the data that was sent to Section 31 that they think Ash sent. As Airiam is trying to decrypt the data or pretend that she is, you have Non shows up, and she has this little scene with Airiam where Airiam is very curious about her, and she tells her that the device that's kind of on her face is basically helping Non to breathe in this atmosphere. And, when asked, she's just like, oh, I was just curious. And Non is not dumb. She's on to Airiam, I think. There's a very specific reason she went to her. She's already honed in that something is not right here. Back on the bridge, Airiam goes to Tilly, and as they're trying to continue to decipher the data, Airiam is definitely aware that she's not right, that something is controlling her, because she tells Tilly, please stand here beside me, don't leave, no matter what I say. And I don't know if Tilly really picks up on it, but Airiam is very much crying out for help in this scene. As they arrive at Section 31, they realize that the whole, everywhere around Section 31 there are mines, and there's really no way to get in. I mean, it was done like this strategically. Cornwall has the right path to get there, but she also tells them that the ship's defenses have to be down because the mines are attracted to the shields. And of course, they're having to plot their way into this. It's very tricky to get through there. But Detmer is a really good pilot, and they sail through there somehow. As they're navigating through this, the programming that's taking over Airiam kind of takes over again, and she tells Tilly, you can leave now. And Tilly says, well, you told me to stay. And she said, I've got this, you can go now. And of course, as this is happening, Non is there, and she's kind of overhearing this. So, like I said, she's very onto Airiam. Now, while they're being distracted by the mines and trying to get through them, Airiam is now sending the rest of the data that they've acquired from the sphere to Control. And Non is sort of paying attention to what she's doing, but at the same time, they are in the middle of this field full of mines, so I don't think she was really catching all of it. As they get within transporter range of Section 31, they have like this little meeting, and Airiam is one of the first ones to say she should go over there. And Burnham and Non are going, and Airiam gets to go along because of her computer expertise, and they beam aboard. And when they do, I mean, it's just been completely ravaged. Life support is off. The place looks like a tomb at this point, which is, when they were looking at them earlier on the view screen, it looked perfectly fine. Of course, now they're really wondering what changed within that sort of time. As they continue to explore Section 31, they find all of these bodies, and one of the bodies they find is Admiral Patar, who they had just been speaking with, maybe hours before this. And it looks like these bodies have been dead for at least 2 weeks. It is then that Saru kind of realizes that the Admiral Patar they were talking to was actually a hologram. And then they find out that the footage of Spock killing the doctors, that was a hologram as well. So, the video itself was not doctored, it was just a hologram that did this. And now they're wondering who's in control, because obviously it's not Patar, and it's obviously not Section 31. They now have enough evidence that they've gathered that it was actually Airiam sending this, not Tyler. So, and of course, before anything can even be said, Tilly is the first one to defend her that, this isn't her, this isn't like her. So Pike, of course, opens a channel to just Non and Burnham, and he kind of tells her, he starts to explain what's going on. Now, as Pike is telling them to basically take down Airiam, she is very aware of this, and she turns and fires on them, and a fight starts happening at this point, and they realize that Airiam is definitely not in control of herself. Airiam reaches for the device that is allowing Non to be able to breathe in this, and just basically rips it off her face and sends her flying across the room. Burnham eventually gets Airiam inside this, this like little tube or this room or something like that, and she's essentially cut off from the rest of them. And that's when they start to figure out that the data that Airiam took from the sphere was all about anything that was referencing artificial intelligence, and she is trying to get this information to Control, and they realized that by doing this, it would essentially make Control sentient. It would make it come to life and be able to, you know, be in charge of its own mind and everything like that. So this is a very scary task at this point. Airiam begins to continue downloading all of the information to Control, and they can't get to her because the door's locked out. And Tilly has like a last-ditch effort. They open a channel so she can talk directly to Airiam, and she's basically pleading with her, you know, as her friend, please don't do this. But at this point, Airiam is so much under control that she hasn't figured out a way to be, you know, free of this. This gets through to Airiam, and she's finally able to have a moment of clarity, but by then she tells them it's too late. She is not in control of herself, and she won't be, and the only thing they can do is to eject her into space. Now, Burnham thinks that she can save her through other means, but Airiam is telling her it's not possible, and even so much so as Pike is commanding Burnham to do this, to sacrifice Airiam, you know, into space, because there's no other way around this. Of course, Burnham is still fighting this, and you kind of think for a second that maybe she's going to be able to do this, but when there's really no other option, Nan has kind of, you know, gotten herself together, and she does it in enough time to where she pushes the button and ejects Airiam into space. Now, right before she is ejected into space, though, Airiam says, "This is to Burnham." She says, "This is all about you. They wanted me to kill you." And then she says, you know, "Tell everyone I love them." And then after that, she says, "You have to find out about Project Daedalus." And of course, we have no clue what that is, because as she says this, she gets ejected. And I have to give Star Trek this. I really didn't see this coming. I thought they would be able to save her, because in most of your Star Trek shows, they're always able to save the person. And especially how they built her up over this episode, I kind of thought she's going to be a bigger part of this. So I give the show real props on this one, because I didn't see it coming, and it was actually very emotionally impactful when this character that you barely know, you know, sacrifices herself. And it really, I mean, the show pretty much just ends right there. It's very creepy, because they kind of show her just floating in space and seeing the last memories, you know, that made her happy when she was human. And it's very sad. It really was. And the episode just basically ends like that. Now, next week, it looks like there's going to be a funeral for Airiam, and they're just really amping up this storyline as to what is Project Daedalus, what does that have to do with the Red Angel, how does all this tie into Burnham. So there's a lot of interesting stuff coming up. This was another good episode, and I'm really curious to see where this is going, because the mystery is really getting deeper, and it's just been such a good season so far. So anyways, I'm going to leave this one here. I definitely encourage you to check out CBS All Access to watch this season if you haven't already. And also tonight, The Good Fight premiered its season 3. Now, I won't be recapping that, because honestly, I don't feel like the fan base is that big enough, or that the fan base is going to be anybody that is watching YouTube for that matter, because it is a more mature show, but it's a really good show. So you may want to check that one out. If you've ever watched The Good Wife, you know, it's a spinoff of that. So there's just another reason for you to check out CBS All Access. So again, like I said, I'm going to leave this one here. I hope everybody has a great weekend. Enjoy yourself. Spend time with your loved ones. Just kick back, enjoy a movie or a TV show or whatever else you want to do. So I will talk to you guys soon. Please leave a like if you enjoyed this, or subscribe to the channel, or leave a comment down below. All of those things that you're encouraged to do by YouTubers. So anyways, have a good one, guys.